Again, thank you for coming and joining. And lovely to see again. Again, as usual, we'd start with a short mindful breathing exercise. Make yourself relaxed, comfortable. And try to let go of any thoughts for a moment. Just try to breathe normally, naturally. And keep your attention to the breath, observing. When you breathe in, observing you are breathing in and being aware you are breathing in. And when you breathe out, again, observing the natural process of exhaling and being aware of that. So simply just observing and being aware of your natural inhaling and exhaling. Then we can think, we get closer and closer to our final destination, the death, decade by decade, year by year, month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour. Each moment, it's getting closer and closer. And life come to end very fast without knowing. So therefore, whatever lifespan that we might have left, we should try to make it as meaningful, beneficial as much as possible. And how can we make our life meaningful? Is through engaging in the practice of the Dharma. What does practicing the Dharma means? The practice of the Dharma means trying to reduce and overcome those harmful, disturbing, negative emotions, such as anger, hatred, resentment, ill will feelings, greediness, miserliness, attachment, jealousy, delusional pride, ignorance, so forth. Practicing Dharma means trying to cultivate and increase or improve those helpful, beneficial, positive state of minds, such as true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, contentment, patience mind, and the wisdom, and so forth. That is the true meaning of practicing the Dharma. And to be able to practice, through meditation, contemplations, we need to be reminded of those practices continuously. And we need to continue to study, hear the teachings as much as we can continuously. For that very reason, that I'm going to listen to the teachings. And whatever I find any beneficial help from those teachings, I'm going to try to apply and integrate as much as possible in my everyday life. May coming here, giving the time, energy, coming here to listen and to engage in the discussions and reflecting on the meaning of those teachings. And may all of these become cause and conditions to achieve fully awakened state. So I can be greatest benefit to all sentient beings, including myself. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Let's begin by taking refuge and generating bodhicitta once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye choran soki chonam la jonchu bardu dagni kapsu chi dagi chonen gepe sognam ki drola penchir sangye drupar sho sangye choran soki chonam la jonchu bardu dagni kapsu chi Dagi chonen gepe sognam gi jola penche sangye drupa sho.
언제 두제 니존네 또 담제 방배제 담배 춘이 된제 배 고담데 라 차차로 So again, we have started the Third Dalai Lama's graduate path to enlightenment. Lamrim Seshuma. And within that, we are on the chapter of the practice of initial, the practice of the practitioner initial capacity. And within that, we are on chapter on the karma. And we just kind of discussed a little bit on that last week. Again, as I mentioned last week, when we talk about karma, if we don't take considerations of many lifetimes and past lifetime, and if we try to understand karma just within one lifetime, it will be very narrow. And as we mentioned, there are a lot of things that doesn't make sense if we just try to understand the karma within just one life context. So I give some example last week. But sometimes even we, as a Dharma practitioner, even we have studied, even we probably maybe somehow maybe accept karma. But when life becomes challenging, difficult, again, I mentioned we doubt about karma. We started to doubt about karma. And I find a lot of time, of course, when things are challenging, there's a lot of frustrations, impatience, agitations, a lot of emotions arises. And in such situations, then, it lead to many different feelings and thoughts, and then we started to have a lot of doubt about so many things, a lot of practice about refuge, about karma, and many other things as well. And that is because we are going through a lot of difficulties, and our understanding or realizations of the subject, such as karma, is not so strong enough. If it's strong, then you wouldn't have that kind of doubt, and your mind become kind of shaky in that way. And it is much more easier to blame someone else than take responsibility from the point view of karma. It seems it's much more easier to blame someone else for whatever bad things are happening in our life, whereas taking responsibility from karma point of view, not only you are experiencing what, but then on top of that, you are taking something else. So it becomes more challenging, and then it feels much more easy to just kind of blame it somewhere outside. And yeah, even as a Dharma practice, sometimes, because when you don't take from many lifetime, then, after you have started practicing Dharma, or maybe after you have started practicing Dharma more seriously, or after you have started to commit yourself and really started practice more seriously, sometimes challenges arise in our life in different forms. And then you started to doubt, is it because I started Dharma practice? Is it because I'm doing this practice? And I have had some students sometimes having that kind of, maybe they might not ask directly that, but like doubting that maybe I'm having all these challenges because I've started the practice in Dharma. I'm having all these problems because I've started to dedicate myself or be more serious in practice. And as though taking this, whatever you are experiencing, as a result of your present practice, karmic result of whatever you are doing now, that means you are not really thinking about this is a result of karma from not this present action from the past. So when you cannot, if you don't take the concept of past, then that is how you relate. And even in terms of and it can be in our case, it could be in someone, individuals, others that we observe around us in the world. As I mentioned last week, there are some people who seems to be much more unkind, cruel, mean, but who seems to have success in their life much more. And there are people who are very kind, compassionate, caring, loving, ethical, but who seems to have so much challenges and difficulties in their life. And among those people, either way, some of them practitioners of different spiritual path, some of non-practitioners, they don't believe in any spiritual path, and some of them practice on Buddhist, some of them Christian, some of them Muslim, Islam, Hindu, Jewish, whatever. But sometimes then when we have that, then when you don't have strong understanding and practice, then you said, oh, he or she is experiencing all this problem and suffering because you are practicing that spiritual path. Or you started doubt, there's no, why should I be kind and compassion? ethical, all that, when everything's in my life seems to be a lot of problem after another problem, challenge after another challenge. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be better for me to be selfish, to be cruel, mean, when someone like that seems to have success without much challenge or obstacle? That kind of things, thoughts or doubt could arise, and it does arise to a lot of people. But if we have a really, good understanding and belief of karma from many past lives, then you understand someone who is going through a lot of challenges, it's not because of their present practice or their present actions, it's because of past karma, something from the past. Everything, good things that you do, positive thing, virtues, every good thing you do is not going to be wasted. The consequences, there will be a positive consequences in the futures. It could manifest in your life later, or it could in this life, or it could manifest in future lives. But whatever practice you are trying to be a good person, trying to be a good citizen, trying to be ethical, compassion, even you might be facing a lot of obstacles, challenges. It doesn't mean everything that you are trying to live is being wasted. But if you don't believe many lifetimes, then it is that is. You did everything good and it's wasted because in this life, your whole life went with all these challenges, never improved so much. And for someone who's being cruel, mean, and who continue to have success and less challenges, it seems like they never experience the result of such consequence of such actions. But when you have strong understanding and believe in karma, even those actions, even you don't experience consequences of that now, you will definitely experience in the futures. So therefore, such actions will not go without experiencing negative consequences. So I think this is very important. I think to have the understanding of karma from many lifetimes. Otherwise, our view becomes very narrow, very narrow. And as I mentioned before, the understanding karma helps you to overcome a lot of negative emotion. Is the understanding of accepting karma is a another tools to deal with our negative emotions. Because, if I don't understand there is my karma involved, where all the challenges, sufferings, pain that I'm experiencing, even though there might be, immediate contributions of cause and effect, cause from external factors, but the main cause for my challenge problem is my own karma. The moment I'm able to accept that through such understanding, I started to blame less to the other others. If I don't blame so much, I don't get so much upset and angry with that person. It's through that I can reduce my anger, my ill will feeling, hatred for another person's, because I blame that person's for my situations. The more I blame and the more I feel that person is the responsible for this pain, the more upset, more angry, the more ill will feeling, negative feeling I have towards that person. It becomes much more difficult for oneself to feel compassion for that person when you blame that person for all your sufferings. On the other hand, when you accept that sufferings, even he or she might have contributed a little bit, but mainly is because of the karma. As I mentioned all the time, when things happen, positive, negative, there's past karma, karmic potentials, as well as immediate conditions. Two come together that produce the result. You cannot ignore the immediate conditions, nor you cannot ignore the past karmic potentials. Both have to come together. So by overcoming if we overcome, or if we purify, or if we don't have, let's say, if we don't have the karmic imprint or the potential from the past to experience certain challenges or sufferings, pain, even the conditions are there, you will not experience that. Even the external conditions are there, you will not experience that. You know, that is just like, sometimes when we have earthquake, when we have external conditions like earthquake, fires, or all other kind of violence, everything, there are some houses or peoples or that you don't know how they survive. Nothing happened to them. Something just missed them. You cannot just explain, how everything's gone around that, but something that survived there. External conditions was there, but there was no internal condition, the karmic imprint. And that's why, sometimes you crash, most of them die, but somehow some people survive. A lot of time we use in the media and other people, miracle is a miracle. That's how he or she. But from our karmic understanding, external condition were there for the disaster, but there was no internal conditions, the karmic potentials. But when there is a karmic potential and there is also external conditions, and those two come together, then there is the result. And that is same with positive karma too. Externally, there is all the condition for someone to be very successful. But somehow, and they cannot explain why, when you look all the external condition, why he or she failed and was not successful in that particular project or whatever that is. And a lot of time we say unlucky. That's the word unlucky is the word. Or wrong time, whatever. But again, even though externally the conditions were all there to become something as successful, but when there is no internal conditions, the karmic potential, then again, obstacle for success. But there is internal conditions, the karmic potential, as well as the external condition coming together, and there is the success. Everything's so both in positive, and so again, one of the things when it comes to karma, I keep on repeating because I always see people seems to go one extreme or another extremes. Sometimes they say it's karma and they just ignore the immediate conditions. Do you get it? They totally ignore to change the immediate conditions. They don't try to change the conditions because they're just saying it's all past karmic potentials. On other hand, then others who just believe it's all external, present external conditions, and who doesn't accept the internal karmic potential or conditions. It's important to understand both conditions, the karmic, internal karmic potential or the condition, external condition that we need to work on. So again, I just wanted to remind that. So in terms of the page, we are on page number 16, and at the very beginning of that, there is as explained here, abandon all the negative activities in general. Okay, try to avoid and abandon all the negative activities or unwholesome actions in general, and contemplate the 4 unpleasant aspects of the 10 non-virtues of body, speech, and mind in particular, and especially meditating on the 4 different unpleasant experience of each of those 10 non-virtuous actions. And so, through the body, what are those non-virtuous actions? Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Through the speech, lying, slandering others, speaking harshly, and indulging in meaningless talk. And then, in terms of the non-virtues from the mind, covetousness, ill will, and holding distorted views. To show 4 unpleasant aspects of karma by example of result of killing. So here giving. So again, each of actions, whether it is a killing or whether it is saving a life, in terms of virtues, saving life. In terms of non-virtues, taking the lives, killings, Either of that, in order to have the 4 results, all the 4 results, the karma has to be complete. And for the complete karma, then all the 4 conditions need to be there. When the 4 conditions are not there, then it doesn't become complete karma. And if it's not complete karma, then it does have unpleasant result, but it will not have all the 4 results necessarily as is mentioned here. Okay? So what are those 4 results of the karma? So giving example of the killing, then we can apply the same. The ripening result is here, the first one. The main effect is low rebirth, for example. That is the ripening result. But not all the negative karma produce low rebirth as a ripening result. Because again, to have a low rebirth, such as low rebirth, it has to be what we call throwing karma or projecting karma. And to be a projecting or throwing karma, the karma has to be complete. And to be a complete karma means all the 4 conditions has to come there. The motivation, the objects, the actions, and the completions, When even you engage in a negative karma or virtuous karma, when there is only 4, from the 4 conditions, only 3 conditions, 2 conditions, 1 condition, then it doesn't become a complete karma. So, but when it is complete karma, then the ripening result. So each of those karma has not just 1 result, but 4 results. So one is the ripening result, is the lower rebirth, and then a similar result, of course, is the causally concordant experience effect is that in the future rebirth you will be killed Even you have a higher rebirth as a human beings, you will be killed by someone else, or will see many dear ones killed, and therefore experience suffering as bad that you are being killed yourself. And then, in terms of the similar actions or behavior, the causally concordant behavior effect that you will have the tendency to kill again in the future's life, and thus multiply the negative karma. So then, when you are born, you have this behavior or tendency or you just enjoy killing, taking lives, you know? And that is because of previous karmic imprint. And so, some children, they are born with such, without being taught, being very kind, compassionate. And then some children, be born without being taught that kind of more aggressive, and even you try to teach them not to be aggressive is much more harder to them. They have this kind of behavior, actions that are more violent, more aggressive. And that is kind of here talking about, that kind of similar result of previous similar actions. And then environment effect. The effect on the environment that even you gain a good rebirth as a human beings, the environment around you will be violent, Even you don't want to be in that place, but somehow situations make you have to be in a area of places where it's a very violent places, If we have the option, nobody really like to be in a violent area, violent places, Everyone want to be in more peaceful places, but somehow the situation conditions make them to have to leave that place, not unable to leave that place. Even they want to live, there's some kind of energy, some conditions, and that is what he is saying. So therefore, when we understand that, then we become more careful with our actions. When we understand all these different results of one karma, one actions, when it's not just, it creates one suffering, but it has 4 different consequences resolved. So then you see how each of those complete karma is how strong it is. And so you are more conscious, more mindful, and you try not to put more effort, not to engage in such. If you don't understand all the consequences, then you might become more careless. You might be more careless because you don't see the consequences as very strong. It's just like, if you, like certain countries, if you traffic rules or the traffic fine, country is very high. Even in some state, even in this country, is very high. You might lose your driving license. Not only give you fine, you lose point, everything. In some states, some places, you just pay a small amount and that is it. And you can see how people drive differently in those places. You know how people, when they come to the state or country where the fine are very strong, people are more mindful, cautious, and they don't try to break those rules. But when they in a places where the rules are not implemented, or the fine or rules are not so strong, then people seem to break more. Why? because the fines are very strong, and so you are more mindful, more careful. And by doing that, it protects yourself, it protects others. The same with these karmas, So when you understand all different level of the consequences, then you are more mindful, careful. You don't understand that, then we might take it to become a little careless and not seriously. The effect is also graded in the minor, medium, and heavy degrees, depending on the objects. Of course, that can be, graded into small, medium, big. Here, in terms of objects, but sometimes it's in terms of the intentions, motivations, intensity of the motivations, and all of that. But here, in terms of objects, for example, killing human beings result rebirth in hell. Killing an animal result in rebirth as a preta, hungry ghost, and killing an insect result in animal rebirth. Keep in mind these words from the chapter of the truthful ones. So in Sutra, O king, do not kill, for all lives cherish life. So in Buddha advice, do not take the lives of others or not kill, because everyone cherishes their life. Just as you cherish your life, each and every sentient beings cherish their life, and therefore do not take the lives of others. If you wish to live long yourself, respect life. And also, one of the karmic results of longevity is also, saving others' life. So when you respect others' life, you protect others' life, not take the lives of others. And as a result of that, also, even it isn't your intention, but similar result, because you increase someone's life by protecting someone's life, it also you create a karma or the conditions for your own long life too. And do not even think of killing. And here is the Buddha saying, forget about actually killing. Do not even entertain the thought of taking lives. Even just by entertaining the thought of taking life, you create negative karma. Even you don't take someone's life, even though you might not create the complete karma of killing, but still you are, by entertaining the thought to kill someone, and you are creating negative karma. And again, these are important for us. Sometimes politically or situation is so violent, sometimes such thought can entertain someone, even they don't take actions. Such thought can come. So we have to be very mindful and careful, even not to have such thoughts, And then that is from the sutras. And then there is, as said here, rely upon an attitude, resolve not to entertain the thought of any harmful actions, such as killing, entertain any thoughts, harmful thoughts, such as killing, such as, wishing the others sufferings, wishing the other miserable, entertaining thoughts, in such negative thoughts, and other non-virtues. Abandon all forms of non-virtuous actions, and strive with all your might to actualize goodness. Try to avoid and overcome all non-virtuous actions, all unwholesome action, and try to engage or practicing all the wholesome actions, all the positive virtuous actions as much as you can. So that is, and again, one of the prayer we recite quite often. Never engage in the non-virtuous action. Perform virtuous action all the time. Subdue your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. So that is what we try to avoid any of non-virtuous, unwholesome actions and try to engage in the virtuous actions. And to do that, then train your mind. Because the reason why we engage in non-virtuous actions is because of our unsubdued mind. And if we have subdued mind, virtuous mind, we will engage in the virtuous actions. And so that it comes to the training your mind, subduing your mind. And Lama Tsongkhapa, Je Rinpoche said, there is no certainty that after death, Lord rebirth does not await you, Yeah, there is no certainty. We cannot say for sure, as I mentioned before, there is nothing after this life, Can you say with certainty, there is nothing after this life? Can you say with certainty, there's nothing in the universe beside our world? Is this the only world where there's living beings? There's no certainty that there's no other lives in other universe, in other galaxies. Same way, there's no certainty that there's no life after that. And if there's life after future and life after this, there's also no certainty that there's no Lord rebirth. The only reason why we think there's nothing after this is just that we don't know. Just because we don't know, are you sure that there's nothing? Then that will be too extreme. That will be too extreme to say it doesn't exist because I don't know. Our world doesn't know even one friction of what is in physical world. Forget our non-physical world. We don't know even much about our own, this world. We are starting to learn a little bit about moons, maybe Mars. We go beyond that, all these countless stars and all, we don't know anything. What is there? Does that mean there's nothing there? Same thing. There's no reason. The only reason why we feel there's nothing is one, because we don't know. Second things, maybe we are fearful. We are fearful. And that's why if there is life, then maybe what I might. And so sometimes due to the fear, also sometimes we reject things. We close ourselves. And kind of denial is in a way is a denial. When the fear comes, sometimes we are in the process, denial. Same thing, sometimes people, even when they are dying, everyone around them know they are dying. The doctors, everyone saw they are dying, but still they are in denial mode because of fear. Because of fear, they create that denial mode to protect themselves from that fear. It's a process, it's a way to trying to protect that fear. And sometimes I think also that could be another magnet for us, human beings, to almost like denial. Anyway, so there's no certainty that after Lord rebirth does not await you. But there is certainty that the three jewels have power to protect you from it, as we discussed last time. Therefore, base yourself upon refuge, and let not the refuge precept degenerate. And as we mentioned last week, Going for refuge, important, but the one really that protect you is keeping the precept of the refuge, going to refuge. Keeping the precept. And as we mentioned, the main precept of having gone refuge to the Dharma is not to harm others. That is the key. If you don't harm others, you don't create so much negative karma. If you don't create so much negative karma, you don't, even there is a low rebirth, you don't need to go to low rebirth. Because you haven't created the cause for that. And that is how one protect from low rebirth, is by not creating the actions, negative karma actions, the action harming others from that. And we do that by keeping the precept, and we keep the precept after having gone to the refuge. So therefore, not let the refuge precept degenerate, and consider working of constructive and destructive actions. Yeah. So, and then continue to, work on constructive actions, wholesome actions, and trying to avoid destructive, harmful actions. Practicing correctly is your own responsibility. And so that is where, in Buddhism, as the Buddha himself said, you yourself is your enemy, your worst enemy, and you yourself are your best friend. And that's what it is. Similarly, so responsibility come back to you. The responsibility is not the Buddha. The responsibility come back to you. All your life, you create negative karma, engage in this, destructive actions, and then requesting the Buddha to protect you. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah. As in another sutta, the Buddhas explain, I show you the path to liberation. Whether you achieve liberation or not, it depends on you, your actions. I can only show you how to do that. I can show you the path to do that. But the responsibility is on you. So again, that is, I think, important to understand. Sometimes we don't take the responsibility to our actions, and then we pray to the Buddha to fix everything. And then when that is not done, then we complain and doubt the path, everything's. That is how it is not how it works in Buddhism. It's about creating the cause and conditions yourself, responsibility. And then after quoting from the Lama Tsongkhapas, then Third Dalai Lama giving commentary, by guarding the ethical contact of avoiding the 10 known virtues, you will have a good rebirth. And if you wish to go beyond that and gain qualities conducive to continuing along the supreme path to omniscience, qualities such as a good rebirth, a good families, good rebirth, such as a precious human rebirth with all the positive qualities. And good family means very supportive families towards your path, your practice. If family is not supportive, even you want to practice, then it becomes challenging and difficult. Not everyone has that condition. Sometimes individuals are very interested in engaging in the spiritual path, but the family are not supportive, then it becomes much more difficult. And sometimes they couldn't practice, because if they practice, then the family discard them, and they don't want to do that. And a strong mind and a harmonious body then create their causes. So here, when you talk about here, Lamrim practitioner is the ultimate goal is to achieve fully enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. That is the ultimate goal for the bodhisattvas or Mahayana practitioners. The ultimate goal is to achieve fully awakened or fully enlightened state for the benefit, in order to benefit sentient beings. But to achieve that fully enlightened state, fully awakened state, even though we all wish to achieve quickly in one lifetime, not only one lifetime, within 1 year, maybe within 1 month, but that is not practical. Realistic. Practical, realistic. Some people might be able to do in 1 lifetime. Some people might not be able to do in a lifetime. They require many life. Some of them require many life, many eons. So if we are unable to actualize within 1 lifetime, then we have to prepare for the next. So we have all the right conditions to continue where we left in this life, and so we can continue to increase and improve. And to be able to continue in next life, so then we try to create all the right conditions for the next, and that is what is talking about here, to create that kind of qualities, conducive. And so in order to create such qualities which are conducive to practice the path, continuously on the path, abandon harming any living beings, making offering of light and so forth to the 3 jewels, giving clothes, etc., any kind of generosity. So basically, making offering to the holy objects and practicing generosity, those who are in the needs, and to the needy. And by overcoming pride and have respect for all that light, that lives. So take the responsibility of those practice into your own hand through the force of consciousness and mindfulness. However, if occasionally strong mental afflictions overpower you, even though we try to be very mindful, we try to be very careful, mindful, watching our mind with the introspection and mindfulness, so that we don't allow our mind to be carried away by those negative thoughts and engage in unwholesome actions through body, speech, and mind. Even we try to do that, but occasionally, time to time, strong afflictive emotion overpower our mind. You don't want to get upset, but you get upset due to certain conditions. You don't want to entertain negative, bad feeling towards others, but sometimes, sudden condition arises and your mind is overwhelmed by one of those negative emotions, and then you cannot stop entertaining those thoughts, something like that, or create negative karma, engaging. And then you commit a breach of practice, by engaging such as one of 10 non-virtuous action and so forth. Do not be apathetic, but confess the unwanted karmic obstacles at the proper time and the place by the means of 4 opponent powers. So when we realize, when in certain moment, due to overpowered by one of those afflictive emotions, whether it's jealousy, whether it's pride, whether it's a strong desire, or whether it's a strong, ignorance or anger, and due to that, when we create some of negative karma, so here it says, immediately when you realize that, when you recognize that, then try to do the purifications without any delay. Try to engage in the purifications without any delay to purify that negative actions or negative karmic seed or potential, So depending on what kind of, like proper time, place, like in terms of the ordinate, like the monks and nuns, every full moon and new moon, they have this what we call purifying, sojong, purifying and reviving the vows. And it is where in the community, that if you have broken any of the precept vows, you do the purification there, So again, like that. And then you can apply or open power anytime, anywhere, and practice that. Again, I don't need to go all of them, open power cleans all the stains of the body, speech, and mind. And this, so what are those four opening powers? So these four are, so the four opening powers are contemplating the shortcoming of non-virtues and their result in order to develop remorse for the having committed negativities. So basically, by thinking on the consequences of such negative karma, when we engage in any of negative karma, there is four consequences, result that we just explained before. And not only that, also it affects others. It hurts and harms others. And by understanding how harmful it is to oneself and others, and how unwholesome it is, then we try to generate a strong remorse by acknowledging it was a mistake, it was not something good, it was something harmful, and something that you don't feel proud, and so to try to generate the remorse. Second one, relying on the object of refuge, bodhicitta, as a force with the power to purify the mind of karmic stain. And third, generating a strong determination to turn away from such negative cause of action in the future. And when you have the remorse, then you try to generate a strong resolution, determinations, not to engage in the same negative karma, harmful, destructive negative karma, again in the future, or actions in the future. So cultivating that strong determinations or resolutions. And as a way of purifying, then we take refuge to the holy objects and generate a compassion, bodhicitta, mind towards sentient beings, to whom we might have hurt and harm. And then third, applying the positive antidotes such as Vajrasattva mantra and so forth. And then as the opening power of the antidotes, then you try to apply whatever positive actions or practice, virtuous practice, whether you do the Vajrasattva practice, whether you do the 35 Buddha practice, whether you meditate on emptiness, whether you meditate on bodhicitta mind as a purifications, or whether you make offerings to the holy objects as a purification, whether you create holy objects, printing spiritual Dharma books, creating holy objects, or whether you practice the generosity for those who are in the need or service as a way of purifying. antidotes. So any of those, so forth, any of those. So again, what here does, through being mindful introspection, we try to avoid creating unwholesome action as much as possible. We try to engage in creating positive actions as much as possible. That is going futures. Okay? That is going towards futures. Future. From now on, I will try to avoid as much as possible not to engage in any unwholesome actions. I will try to engage in creating virtuous, wholesome action. That is going future. But past, what about the negative karma I've already created in the past? What about that? I can follow future this way, but what about all the negative karma that I've created in the past? And for that, then the Buddha gave this incredible method of purifications. And so, and purification practice, as plenty of different purification practice, or different form of purification practice. And whatever form of purification practice that you apply, important part is to have the four opening power within that practice. It could be, yeah, any of the virtues, but any virtuous action, but try to bring the four opening power within any practice that you do as a way to purify. And then here, Je Rinpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa wrote, should you not find a suitable rebirth, it will not be possible to progress along the path, and therefore cultivate the cause of high rebirth, such as human life. Appreciate the importance of purifying the three doors from stain of non-virtues, and cherish the force of four opening powers. So try to purify the negative karma, try to create the positive karma, and whenever we do somehow engage in the negative karma and try to purify them through the four opening power. By meditating in this way, the mind will turn away from the transcend things of this life and take genuine interest in more lasting things. And when this effect has been realized, you will be known as a spiritual aspirant of initial capacity. So with that, I think we finish the first, the practice of initial or small scope or capacity. So then I will take a couple of questions, few questions, if anyone has any questions.
We'll take one from June, and then we have two from last week.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Geshe Sherab, for your lesson today. Everything you said brought up all kinds of other questions. Can you explain the difference between frustration and anger? I know there's a similarity there, but most of the time I feel frustration may be a little bit less dangerous, but not much. Could you explain that? Sometimes I even feel like, my God, I've lived too long. Because frustration, technology particularly frustrates me. I've always been able to learn things, and any 4-year-old will know more about technology than I do at this point. I was just wondering if you could explain how karma fits into that, and
Mhm.
and how you can. I mean, I know I can take classes, and I don't want to. I just don't want to.
Mm. I don't know exact word for frustrations in Tibetans. Anyway, anger has these qualities of harsh, hurtful, harmful aspect. So when you anger, then there's sense of what do you call harsh mind of hurting or harming, whether it's someone or yourself. You are angry with yourself. If you are angry with yourself, then it's like kind of harsh and feel like kind of hurting and harming yourself. Or if you are angry with someone, then you have same feeling. Frustration doesn't have to have that kind of harsh kind of, it's almost like impatience, that it doesn't have to have that hurtful feeling. You are frustrated with something, but you are not harsh with yourself, another you are trying to harmful thought, ill will feeling thoughts for others and yourself, but you could be frustrated with something because, that. And so I think there is a frustrations is a, you can say, less harsh and whereas anger has much more harsher and much more stronger negativities in that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah, so the question from last week was actually from Tosang. Do you remember? It was Tosang asked, is it better to be a vegetarian in terms of karma?
of course, it's better if we can be vegan, vegetarian, and even vegan is even better. There's no doubt, because even though we don't have intention to hurt and harm, but indirectly there's some contributions towards life of others. If you are vegetarian, of course, even with vegetarian, still we contribute. But that is what samsaric life is. There's no win. It's all about how we can reduce a little bit less. Everything we do, we contribute something, and that is why, without getting out of samsara, if you are out of samsara, you don't have to eat and you don't have to contribute. If you have to eat, then vegetarian, non-vegetarians still contribute. Of course, vegetarian generally contribute less, even though there are arguments, okay? But I think argument doesn't make sense. Some argument, they say, oh, if you eat rice, vegetable, how many insects are being killed, this and this. But that is true. But let's say cow. When a cow, how much you have to feed that? To feed that cow, you have to grow all things. How many animals are killed to grow that? Not 1 year, for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So it is not just killing of just one animal, such as cow, but in terms of everything that pollution-wise and many other ways. So therefore, that argument, I think, doesn't really stand. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is still, being vegetarian and even vegan is even karmic why we contribute less. And if we contribute less harm to other beings, to the world, to the society, then of course karma is less.
Any other questions here? Because I have one after you, after Jean.
When I have ants on my kitchen counter, okay, I have a whole bunch of ants that I don't like being there. And I think, okay, if I call the bug man, he's going to kill a whole bunch of other animals in my vicinity. And I don't want him to have that karma. Is there, what do I do? I don't know how to solve this problem because sometimes I think, these ants want to live as much as I do, and you can almost see the ant knowing that you're there and afraid and that sort of thing. But what can you do? And people who we live in a paradise here. If you live in New Orleans and you have red ants in the backyard and you have a 2-year-old, you're going to kill those ants because you don't want your 2-year-old to be killed. Is this going to bring negative karma, bad karma?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think knowingly killing, even though knowing that is another sentient being, that it could have more negative karma, ignorance, killing still is the killing and create negative. Maybe someone doesn't know much, there might be a little bit less, relatively, but still is a killing, still is a negative karma. And I know we have a lot of conflict and difficulty with similar situations, not only with and many others in certain situations with other bugs and so forth. Of course, sometimes I think there are ways to kind of keep them away without having to kill it. Sometimes maybe it makes you have to put more effort. Sometimes you have to do more research. So I think maybe there are ways that one can keep away without bothering so much by different other means. And if one cannot find, then it is individual that take the responsibility and take whatever decision they take. If they do decide to eliminate them, then they do have to take the responsibility of the karma of taking their lives.
Is that better or worse than killing 15 bugs so you don't have to call the bug company? I mean, don't you get some credit for not wanting another person to create that karma?
Let me talk to my boss, whether you get credit for that or not.
Perhaps you don't put out the reason to attract the ants. They go somewhere, they're coming for something, So if you don't have that, the ants don't come by. So that's what Geshe said about research. You think beyond the immediate. You don't have to call the bug man. He's not the only solution. The other solution may be keep away the attracting factor.
As much as I can. For water and.
So we have, I'm gonna just, yeah, so this one,
There
do
is also one question
you have a
here.
question too? Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Here, just one question that I had from last week. Geshe, you were kindly sharing about impermanence and death and karma and, you know, the seriousness, the reality that we face. And so I wanted to flip the switch a little bit. And Geshe, could you please share your thoughts on the incredible positive karma we've created to be here right now and have met the Dharma?
Well, I don't know. First of all, we all have created positive karma to be a human beings. At least from Buddhist point of view, even to have a precious human life, we are not even talking about 18 qualities. Even just to have a human life, you need to have a strong practice of moral discipline. And then to have a precious human life with 18 qualities on top of moral discipline, a strong practice of moral discipline, and a strong practice of generosity, dedications, and many other practice. And so even just to have that, so is because of all this good karma, good practice that we have done in the past, that we have that. And, you know, even as a human beings, for us, at this point, we are not on the street. We don't struggle so much like so many people in the world. It's a positive karma. We should be grateful for that. And, you know, it's a result of positive karma. You know, nobody wants to suffer and struggles, but a lot of people continue to struggles, and they don't have the same condition that we have on so many different levels. These countries is not perfect, but despite that, compared to many places that I grew up, Nepal, India, you know, in so many different ways, there's much more better here. Of course, it doesn't mean people doesn't struggle here. There are also a lot of people who struggles. But in generally speaking, you know, even as an outsider, I could get a health insurance, Obamacare. I wouldn't be able to get in Nepal, India. Here, at least there's food stamps. There they don't have, you know. So there are many things. There's, of course, being the most rich country and still struggle, that is a little bit kind of, you can say, perfect, but still. So again, I think what I'm trying to say is, you know, feel grateful. Of course, that doesn't mean we shouldn't work to improve it, but also being grateful for what, and in your life, the condition that you have, despite our own individual struggles, that individually people struggle differently in different ways. Some people struggles more physically, some people struggle more emotionally, you know, in different ways. So again, and then, you know, to have met the Dharma is another, you know, incredible positive karma, not all the human beings, even who have such a good external conditions, so many people who have so good external conditions, but they don't have the karma to meet the Dharma. You need the karma. Positive karma is a result of positive karma. Sometimes you see people, once they met the Dharma, and once they started to practice, and once they started to see some improvement in their life, they say, I wish I met when I was young. I wouldn't have to go through a lot of things that I went through, because I would have tools to deal with that. That I didn't have those tools when I was young and when I went through so much struggles. So that, but even it came a little bit later in life, but still it came. You met the Dharma, that is, again, positive karma. Not only you met the Dharma, sometimes people meet the Dharma, but when karma is not, they don't connect. They don't connect. At least you connected. That means, again, another meeting the Dharma is one, and then being able to connect with that is another positive karma. And not only that, to be able to have interest in that, to study, to practice, and then with things, to have this space, I know personally, because I go and visit many places, a lot of places where people have so much interest, but they don't have space. They meet in someone's home, here and there, and it's not easy. Sometimes they rent a community hall, then they have to arrange that, they have to take it down, and sometimes they meet people's house, which, again, not everyone will be able to. So there's the space, and you have not only just the space, plenty of programs, if you are interested, different teachings, different practice, meditations. One of the most vibrant among many of the Yapim descendants, so in that way, you are extremely fortunate to have this kind of environment and conditions, that's such a conducive conditions, and shouldn't waste that opportunity. A lot of time, thing changes, impermanence. Even some of the big centers flourishing, sometimes they close. People take for granted, oh, I will have access to this rest of my life. Suddenly it's gone. Within this, during the COVID, I know like around 20 study group closed. Just within the FMD, we're talking about FMD is not such a huge organization. Even within that 20 different groups have closed it. Some of them have been running for 20 years, 30 years, and now they don't have a place, they don't have the Sangha communities to study together, practice together. So, sometimes we take for granted, and not take advantage of that when you have that access thinking. And so again, when you have the opportunity and make most of it. And as I also mentioned my own personal stories, when my teacher was alive, when I was studying the monasteries, of course we had teaching almost every day, but there was also opportunity to have extra teachings and all of that. But some of teachings you take for granted. I mean, I will take later, and that option is gone. some of my teachers have passed away. Some of my teachers are there, but they are very old, and in the 90s, so you don't want to ask there too much of that because, and so I regret, but it's done, but there's a sense of regret. I wish I could have studied those and have taken those teachings, have some of teachings that I wish I would have taken all of that, yeah, okay, so do the dedications.
So the questions that we have from Geshe and from Patty will hold for next week. Oh, sorry, in 3 weeks. Sorry. Including prayers. From Master Shantideva. May all beings everywhere, plagued by the sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the, Michael, it's the page before. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then the long life prayer for His Holiness. Gangri Rawe Korwe Jin Kandir Pendande Malu Shunwe Chen Re Zingwa Tenzing Gyatso Yi Jape Site Vadu Tengyu Chi. We pray for the long lives of our teachers. We pray for the long life of our resident teacher, Geshe Sherab, as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.